we're on a platform. We're on a platform. So this isn't about free speech because, you know, we're actually on a private platform and we have to be nannied. We have to be super controlled by nanny Google, by nanny YouTube. You know, they will block you from being able to find a subject if you type in certain keywords, even though you're simply trying to look for something to research, something already in existence. We're not adults, apparently. We're not allowed to talk about harm prevention and how we can. Hi, who's this popping back in? Say hello. CJK, so YouTube decided that as adults, now, okay, we're not in an open forum. I'm not out speaking in public. I don't have freedom of speech here, right? Because we've got a little something that nanny YouTube, nanny Google, you know, the big bores call terms of service. And these terms of service don't want you to talk about harm reduction. A big part of my channel is about harm reduction and about lived experience. And isn't it ridiculous, David? So because I want to use the H word, because I want to use the S word, I'm not a child, you're not children, I won't talk down to you, because I want to have a conversation with people to help us understand where in society we can support people out of these situations. I think deep down we know a lot of it, and a lot of people just ignore it, or they are frightened to take action. But yes, YouTube came on and said, sorry Humanimal, but this is too adult, this is too serious, this might be too meaningful, this is too important. We can talk about having men as women of the year and taking, you know, but we can't talk about harm reduction. We can't talk about how to save lives. We can't talk about how to protect members of our community or people in our friendship groups. We can't talk about how to catch events before they happen. We can't brainstorm and become a better society because of conversations. YouTube isn't about that. They want you dumbed down. Just do your little dances. Or ham it up. I'm going to make noodles. Okay? That's the level. That's the level, because they don't want you having anything that might be emotional, interesting, intellectual, or anything. Okay, so from now on you can just guess the words. You can guess the words, all right? And CJK, just use things like a 0 for an O if you want to help interpret for people. If you've got time, don't feel like you have to stay for the length of this or anything like that, but you know what I mean. You see me typing in comments, and only because out of respect, not for the actual terms of service themselves, but out of respect for the channel, I will type a 4 for an A, or an I for a 1 for an I, and etc. like that, right? So should we carry on? And let's just try to see if we can actually make sense of this. So, okay, so clearly just screening for IPP is it's going to overestimate how many men are then going to be at risk of committing H as well as S, okay? So they need to look at other factors, and there are other factors. It's sort of the majority, there's 2 to 4 out of their main factors that will exist. A person will have 2 to 4 out of, I can't even do numbers now, all right, so the challenge for clinicians, for friends, maybe people just, for law enforcement officers, for people that are involved somehow when people are having these intense events. It's really challenging, but we need to know what the markers are so that at least you can have a conversation. As I said in my last live, which is still up, even though we're saying the same words, and now I can't even give you the right advice. I've done several S prevention courses. You don't beat around the bush, okay? You have to say the words, and I think this goes for anyone that's, you got to ask them about HS as well, and you say the words, and then you ask them the means. And if you know they have the means, you tell them, I'm removing those means from you. This is my duty of care, and knowing what I know, I now have to remove the means. Young men will often commit S by driving a vehicle into a tree or something like that, or driving recklessly so as to have an accident. Sometimes, and I talk about modes at the end here a little bit, sometimes it's actually through terrible neglect. If you're aware someone is neglecting someone, even though, the justification is often, mercy or health, or, we need to recognize these things, and we need to act. And we need to be gutsy. You need to talk about it blankly. You can't help someone. If people are afraid that you're afraid and they can't be open because you're clearly uncomfortable and scared, how can they talk to you about those dark things? We need to show people that you really can say it. I'm not talking in euphanisms. I'm not talking in metaphors. We're being direct here, soul to soul. All right, so even among those with S intentions, the challenges, are great. Okay, so in a study in England and Wales, actually, 40% of HS perps accessed a GP or sought mental health counselling in the month before. So the seeking help, if they're talking about IPP, we know, hey, there's counts 1, there's count 2. Am I yelling at you guys? Oh my God, I'm just so intense right now because I'm just like, oh, can you believe it? I mean, look, I'm often saying to people who are whinging about it, look, you're on YT, you're on Google, you're not in the free world. They go, what about the American Constitution and freedom of speech? It's like, look where you are. You're not on your street corner on a soapbox. Parched. So they've accessed help a month prior to the, can we even say the violence? Can I even say that? So medical clinicians can play a role in prevention efforts. They also had contact with the criminal justice system. So that's another avenue to explore. What sort of help are people being offered? They're appearing in the criminal justice system. They might also, maybe, it's a lot of manpower and resources, I guess, but there needs to be mediators maybe going through and just doing a little checklist. Hey, what's going on with you right now? This is a really stressful situation you're finding yourself in. Oh, and you're also breaking up with your spouse and, or whatever, right? Tick, tick, tick. Okay, that person needs some support. Yeah, and they might have prior arrests, prior assault charges, things like that. The NVDRS, death certificates. So it took into account, I mentioned this a little bit at the start, what sort of things they took into account. So they're looking at the death certificates. They did toxicology, that's going to come into it. coroner and medical examiner reports. They took all the demographics, so that's your age and your background and things like that. Weapons and mechanisms used, their health, the life stresses, and they were all coded. So they're pretty certain that, from what they've concluded, they're pretty certain, even though, there's variables everywhere, it's coded by trained abstractors. They've adhered to all the coding manuals. Yeah. So it could be a single or multi-H, and the S needs to follow within 24 hours. Not everybody actually, what's the word? Defines it by within 24 hours, but I think that seems pretty reasonable. They had to be 18 plus, and the victim is an intimate partner, and intimate partner problems appear to have contributed to the S. Precipitating circumstances include health, pain conditions, job problems, financial problems, civil legal problems, and other relationship problems. Current depressed mood, and mental health conditions, alcohol problems, substance abuse issues, and alcohol at the time, or being in current alcohol and other drug treatment. Oh, where am I going? There we go. So, history of mental health or substance abuse treatment, history of suicide, history of S attempts. Okay, that was a big one. Disclosure of S intent, and leaving a note. And from what I understand, it's, that's interesting. That is a clue. I'm not surprised, because not many people actually leave notes, and a lot of people, hi JK, a lot of people that, oh, thanks JK, look like shit, but thank you. We all know I like to hear it, thank you very much. A lot of pain comes when, a lot of people don't leave a note, and people are desperate to find something. Find a message, find a reason given. It's very hard on them when there's nothing. They don't have those few words. I would say that they're probably lucky not to get them in most instances. All right. For each decedent, these circumstances were categorized: present, whether they were present, not present, or unknown. And and interviews and information coming, coroners, medical examiners, law enforcement officers, from the forensic evidence, interviewing family and friends and associates. So that's picking up a whole lot of stuff that obviously, other people wouldn't know. And also witnesses, and sometimes, that will be, things that were said, and that sort of thing might come into play. Variable definitions. Anyway, sorry, center of disease control and prevention. Sorry, my mumbling. They looked for the most common circumstances that presented opportunities for prevention. Circumstances included: the perpetrator had history of domestic violence, perpetrator had a current restraining order, the couple had previous law enforcement contact for domestic disputes, the perpetrator had contact with courts regarding DV. I'm even wondering now, can I even say DV in full? Holy moly. Perpetrator was, did you ever think the Humanimal channel would ever be not saying words? Hi Ruckus, how are ya? I started a live before, and because I was saying the S word and the H word, YouTube decided that we're all too soft in the head to handle it, and it cut it off. So that's why I'm saying H and S and things like that. So perpetrator had a current restraining order. The couple had previous law enforcement contact for domestic disputes. The perpetrator had contact with courts regarding DV. Perpetrator was jealous over real or imagined infidelity. The couple were in the process of breaking up. So, stats, or the percentages, which you might not find interesting, but CJK is teasing Ruckus. So 30,259 male S decedents with precipitating IPP. So that was within 1 year, and that's a lot, isn't it? Out of those, 5%, so 1,504, I don't even want to say it, unalived, their current or former IP before their own death. 75.1% were 35 years old or older. Statistics do change for the 65 and older age group, for the reasoning at least, and it's different for the 34 and under. 61.3% non-Hispanic white race, 58.7% married, and 72.6% had never served in the military at all. For S alone, the figures are slightly different. Slightly yes of them are of that age group. A lot more of them are white. Slightly less of them were married, and slightly more of them had never served in the military. So the location of the act, residential, 79.5%, so 1,195. 8.3% or 125 of them in a transport area or on public roads, or inside a vehicle. 4.8% or 72 of the events are recreational areas or in a commercial area or natural area. And other is the 6.9% or 104. So, that could be places like schools, churches, hospitals, on railway tracks, bridges, abandoned buildings, that sort of thing. As for the mechanism, so firearm, 89.1%. So 1,340 out of those 1,504 involve firearms. And considering that people with these, as it's saying here, the histories of maybe arrests for DV and things like that, considering that, isn't that number just way too high? Why have they got access? When are they buying these? Did they have them already before life went sour? Not always, I would guarantee it. Poison, 1.5% or 22. Hanging, strangling, 3.9% or 59. Other, 5.4% or 81. So this is where you get some pretty, biological weapons, motor vehicles, by purposeful neglect. So, not caring for your spouse who might be bedridden, starving them to death, that sort of thing, not giving them their medication or whatever, you know, falling, explosives. Yeah. So firearms are 1.6 times more common in HS events than just S events as well. So I think this is pretty scary when it comes to gun laws. So top 5 prior circumstances. Having left a note, 15.6%. A mental health condition, 11.6%. Disclosed intent, 11.6%. A current depressed mood, 10%. A history of mental health or substance abuse treatment, 9.5%. So I mentioned before the toxicology that would be done, you know, at autopsy, and 37.5% tested positive for alcohol in that toxicology. Now, that would be out of when toxicology has been done, but I would imagine Ruckus Rocks, actually. Ruckus, you'd probably know. I mean, are they more likely just to go ahead and do autopsies in these events? So it could be pretty much 37 out of 100, or, you know, I don't know. But that's a lot. That's nearly 40% of people that have been involved in these events, that have perpetrated these terror events, these rage events, that are under the influence of alcohol. And then they've got a gun. All right. So circumstances. So for IP, HS, the percentage, so all of them here. Civil legal problems, 91 of them. Financial, 105. Jobs, 72. Other relationship problems, 108. Physical health problems, 90. Current depressed mood, 151. Mental health condition, 174. Alcohol problem, 108. Other substance problem, 126. Tested for alcohol and the results were known. All right, that's what I was saying before. 1,114. 74.1%. But it's saying here 37.5% tested positive for alcohol, but out of the known ones, out of the one, I'm not sure. Don't know. Sorry. Positive for alcohol amongst those tested, 418. Well, that's okay. I might have made some, I don't know. I've written these down correctly, I thought, but I'm just not able to interpret them properly now because it's notes. I should have printed it out, but I was having trouble with doing that. Current mental health, alcohol and drug, or alcohol and other drug treatment. So currently attending. So that might include people that, just like in England and Wales, had gone to see a doctor in the last month, or had reached out to, say, a not-for-profit organisation that might offer alcohol and drug training. It could include a lot of people. It could include people that have just gotten out of prison, that terms of their probation, like here in Australia, I mean, I've worked there where, you know, part of their probation is they come out, they need to go for alcohol and drug training and maybe take all sorts of, you know, classes and things like that. So current alcohol and mental health or alcohol and drug treatment, 102. History of mental health or alcohol and other drug treatment, 143. History of S attempt, so they have attempted it in the past, 39. They've disclosed intent, 174, and they've left a note, 235. That's that 15.6%. CJK. Being under the influence of anything intoxicating while you're upset, mad, depressed, etc. is a bad idea, especially if you have a firearm. yeah, it's just safety factor, just, you know, when you don't know what you're doing, you know, it's bad enough. Let's just say in the past, it's bad enough when you wake up and you realize you went and got a pizza. Imagine if, hey, you had a gun in a garage. Space City Music. Hello. You know, so people who did not seek help, mental health and alcohol and other drugs, who used a firearm were 4 times higher risk of HS, you know. So at least when they are seeking help, even if they go ahead with S, they're not as often deciding to delete the person that is aggrieving them or they feel aggrieved by, you know. An estimated 12.2% had threatened to kill the victim. In 31.3% of the IPHS incidences, there were multiple potential opportunities to intervene. So that's what this big study, and it is a big study. Most have access to knives, but they aren't used as much in these situations. So multiple potential opportunities to intervene. Known DV, 21.9%. Interaction with LE relating to DV, 16.8%. Current restraining order, 7%. History of LE called to residence for DV. Now, we know that could mean a lot of things, right? That can be, you know, a lot could be going on there. History of court interaction with the perpetrator for DV claims, 12%. Known signs of the perpetrator being jealous of current or former IP's relationship or suspected relationship with another person, 18.3%. It's nearly 1 in 5. Recent discussion of breakup or in the process of breaking up, 33.7%. Perpetrator made threats to kill victim directly or indirectly to the victim or a witness, and that's the 12.2%. Imagine it's been made to a witness, not to the victim, but to a witness. We need to empower witnesses. You need to stop saying, well, my loyalty's to them, they'll come right, they'll be okay, surely they're just venting. Say, I love you enough that I don't want this to actually go anywhere. You're telling me, oh, you just have those feelings but you'd never do anything. I'm sorry, but now that I know, even though you're going to be really pissed off at me now because this might take away some of your liberties, you're going to feel like you've got a lack of privacy, or like you're being accused of something that you haven't done, blah, 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 whatever it is. I now have a duty of care to follow through with this. It's like being a mandatory reporter. You know, obviously you can't say that a friend is a mandatory reporter, but imagine, you know, down the track, your friend will say to you, I am so grateful to you because I feel differently now. We're 6 months along and here we are, you know. We're 12 months along and I'm feeling stronger. It got worse for a while, but yeah. And multiple opportunities. So multiple opportunities of 2 to 4. So sort of any sort of combination of these sort of things going on. So these people's lives, they are in uproar, aren't they? They are really, in uproar, and over 5 opportunities it drops down to 1.7%. So it's usually, if so it only really, it takes 2, 3, 4 of these factors to be quite a serious thing. Yeah, and I think that was it. Oh, sorry, still going. Sorry. What else did I write? Many studies point to gun use and gun laws. And I already mentioned, because I write it down and then I remember it. And hi, Karen. So safe storage, because of that time factor of going to where it is stored. Perhaps it's not even in your own home. Perhaps, it's in parents' home, in a wardrobe, in a safe, or it's in a basement. The basement is locked. You need to get a key for that. You need to go to the gun cabinet. It's locked. It's not locked just behind glass that can be broken. Obviously, anyone can take an axe and break down a door, but, just having to do that, it's not just, the event where those young kids, one of their fathers had just left guns and guns just laying around, all loaded, these teenagers, a kid shot his girlfriend or a friend or something and then tried to get another friend to take the rap. But how inappropriate and irresponsible, and if it did cross the mind for these children, because they are children, to want to muck around with guns, they'd have to work out a way to break in and do it, and that is going to be a deterrent. And just having something just under your pillow and in your dresser, and not only is it there and it's not locked. I mean, I know that's the whole idea of protection. Okay, you want to be able to protect yourself, get to something quickly. I get that. But, there are laws, aren't there, around these things, and locked away, not loaded. So you've got to get your ammunition out. You've got to get your weapon out, maybe put it together and load it. It could give you those precious moments. And it says, the studies, they all pretty much say the same thing, and that, the youth that are committing suicide that way. Oh God, sorry, YouTube, it was just once. Come on. I'm so sorry. We're all mature here. This is, we are learning here. This is all about harm reduction. Yeah, it just takes, the rage in young men, and that impulsivity, right? 78% of IPHS not known to have histories of DV. Is this because of underreporting? What do you think? The Bureau of Justice, the American Bureau of Justice, estimates 47% goes unreported to law enforcement. So it's maybe not that people aren't telling someone, and maybe they are talking to a counsellor, maybe they do talk to a friend or family member, but probably mostly keeping it quiet, right? Because this is just the tragedy of it, the shame, the stigma, the fear, of it all. And how things are misconstrued too, because we see that reactive V for violence in Gabby Petito's case, where she's reacting against the violence of Brian Laundrie. If you're wondering why Humanimal is, for once in her years on here, not saying the words, Karen, it's because the live was taken off before YouTube decided that we're toddlers, and that it might inspire us to do something. Talking about preventing something might actually inspire us to actually do it. Yeah. So fear, of reprisal, fear in general, loss of privacy. wanting to protect the offender, and that's certainly what Gabby Petito was doing, wasn't it? Yeah. And real reporting is going to help prevent this possession of firearms, isn't it, from people that are going to be in these danger zones. Because if it's reported and if they've got something against their name, and if it's legally decided, you know, if the proper channels are gone through, no matter how hard that is, and there is a record of it, I mean, that is there to protect. So if someone's got a restraining order, or if there is, or if someone has called Ellie out for a DV, and yes, they've followed through, because quite often they decide at the time, don't they? We see this all the time. Oh no, I don't want to press charges, over and over again. But if they did, then if things continue, if it's escalating, if maybe they decide they want to leave, then the person that they're frightened of can't legally, you know, it's going to be much harder for them to go and buy a firearm, isn't it? Excuse me. Oh, and then there's this book I think I want to try and find. It's called The Perversion of Virtue, Understanding MS, so the other word for H, 4 perceived interpersonal virtues: mercy, justice, duty, and glory. And the overview of that is that justice, the reason of justice and glory, those perpetrators lack empathy. And for mercy and duty, maybe they're over empathetic. Yeah. And that concludes that. So a two-parter. So anyone watching this one, oh, hey, CJK, do you remember then when it was cut off, did I actually repeat for this live what I did? Hi, Pepper. Did I repeat what we missed out? I wonder if I should just do that in a video. What I'll do is I'll just make a video and I'll read the whole thing again. Because I feel like the first bit that we got through in the first live that was deleted, I just carried on from where I was, didn't I? Thinking that, yeah, but that's now not there. Yeah, I'll record it as a video. Do you think that's, yeah? And it'll be so annoying, won't it? Because I'll have to put, you know, go through at the start what I'm going to say for H, S, D, V, I, P, P. But yeah, and then I'll just read it through quite quickly and just make like a 15-20 minute video. So whomever didn't see the first live gets the full picture, because at the start, yeah. Because that's the thing, you know, this is what happens with, and, you know, SH, with S and SH, with people unaliving themselves and unaliving others. The questions left behind in those poor fried brains of people that know these people will haunt them for the rest of their life. And people need to be armed with an awareness. I feel like we do know quite a lot of the, you know, what the portents are, right? So what these signs are, what we see in people's lives. And we shouldn't let them talk us out of it. People that have intent to commit S, they are very, very good at convincing you that they've pulled through, that they're on the other side of something, that actually everything's going to be all right and that there's no need to worry anymore. By the time you get to that phase, you know, they've got an idea on how, where, when. They've got the means, they've secured it, that their plan is all in place. So that's why we need to know how these things develop, and educate ourselves on these things so that we, you know, we're not left not only grieving, but, you know, wallowing in guilt that we shouldn't be bearing, you know, because there's only one person to blame, and that's the perpetrator. They made they committed those actions, whether at the time, you know, they feel like maybe they've been taken out of any choice through rage and things like that. But yeah, we need to recognize what the signs are, and we need to, you know, disarm people in that true sense and in all senses of the word. And you know, I think it's devastating for people, you know, surrounding this current event that were really actively trying to help, trying to get some distance for this person, trying to bring them into their supportive bosoms, you know, and it just hadn't happened. And, you know, we can see, even just looking at this one study, but I tell you, go and read. There's several really, really well-known ones and really easily available, and you just see the same factors over and over and over again. And we need to not be afraid to recognize these, link these, and have some really open conversations, some really blunt conversations if we have to, do whatever it takes. It's just like with S prevention. We're not, when you're ever, if you're ever in that situation, don't get caught up with the future, tomorrow, solving problems. All you're there is in that moment, stopping that event from occurring. Now, you know, the trouble is, once that happens, yeah, there needs to be follow-up, and that's what doesn't happen enough. But all you need to concentrate on is in those moments when you have recognized that intent, you're having an open conversation, your sole focus is letting that person know that many other people have been in this position and have been helped through it. And maybe I should do, see, this is really annoying, because I think I've had videos removed before simply because I was one of them, I was comparing Chad Daybell to David Icke. Believe it? Removed. Obviously some things talking about the vid, not giving directives, not giving anything, you know, just talking about the, you know, the little jibby jabbies. Deleted. It's you know, and they'll go back. They go back into your back catalogue, and there they go. They just wipe them out. But maybe, yeah, that might be another video, as well as just to get one of my little manuals out. Hi Mustang, and do an S prevention talk. But it's just so ironic and puerile, and it just highlights what is wrong and why these things fail, is these terms of service on here, for example, because we know using euphanisms are not the way to help people. We know that actually saying the words is what helps people, and yet that's what you can't do here. So, you know, it's just that it's not a good forum, right? there are, there are other platforms to do that sort of work on, of course, that are wholly better than YouTube, but, a lot of people don't want to use other platforms like Rumble and everything because you have to give a whole lot of personal details to the platform to do it. But you can say whatever the F you want. Yeah. And a few other platforms as well. I can't remember. I started a few of them and I was going to put my content over onto them. If you can call it content, but I never did. Yes. So, well, so that is it. That is the discussion taken from a paper about understanding HS and the road to prevention, like what we can all look out for. A lot of you, it could be in your personal life, could be something in your private life, could be something in your community. There are 100 different ways you are going to come across a situation, and if we're all sort of being quite present, you never know, you can just be the person that brings it all together. And you're ready to try Rumble again, Pepper? Yeah, I know there were a lot of creators that I was following who simply, purely because of the type of content and the conversations they were having, they're over there now, because YouTube just isn't it, I don't know why. I don't know, when you think about what they allow on here, not only the vacuousness of things, but the PORN practically, and lots of gruesome things and lots of really despicable things. And yet, if you want to talk about how to prevent these things or how to heal from these things or just discuss your own safety and things like that, no, they don't want that. It's so ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah. Does anyone have anything that they want to say, comment, discuss before I leave? Oops. Yeah, there's some really, you said it a while back, CJK, they allow some real repulsive crap, don't they? Some very dark stuff. They allow PRE dators. PRE dators are rife on YouTube. It's their playground. They do not protect people. You'll watch the video. Oh, thank you, CJK. Don't feel like you have to put yourself through it, because you did actually sit through the first live that got deleted and this. So you've pretty much heard it. I don't think I'll make it any better in my video. But not man bashing, please understand, but controlling boys. Look, and that's the thing too. This is a lot of the problem. A lot of the problem is, and look, this is one of the first things I ever said on YouTube, was men don't want to be humiliated and women don't want to be killed, okay? And it's the bottom line that, this is male to female violence. It is. And what do you want to say that you hope isn't taken wrong? I mean, trust, if any, it is a problem like that, because of the way that their emotions are handled, and because of, and I know there can be factors, people push people's buttons, okay? doesn't mean you go out and you shoot somebody. And you know, that's what happens. That is what is happening. And females in the same situation, where there is a female having these issues, grievances, do they go? No, they don't. Now, I'm not saying women don't kill women. Look, there's all sorts of things, but it's not showing up in these controlled studies, these coded studies. It's just not. It is a problem, male to female. And, you know, we need to be able to discuss the way that males' emotions are thought of and developed. And it's so sad for the fat children. Yeah, I mean, God. Sometimes the children are actually some of the victims. So these studies, and this one in particular, Johnny, it does include multiple victims. So sometimes it includes, you know, it's family annihilation, the Chris Watts scenario, and that sort of thing. So it's including that. Yeah. And yeah, and that jealousy and that everything, you know, because men, you know, for just part of the makeup is, it's got to be awful to think about, you know, other people around your children and your person and everything. And it's, you know, but needing to find ways to deal with those emotions, getting a gun and taking that person out, and knowing that you have made that okay for yourself, because you're going to also take yourself out. It's, yeah. Well, everyone. Well, I don't know what to do the rest of the day. I guess hopefully my anxiety is going to be a little bit less. I'd go for a bike ride, but I've got to fix both of my bicycles, which I do not feel like doing. You've really got to be in the mood to do. Yeah, it's a rash decision. It really, you know, but it's not like that, right? Premeditated. It would be premeditated if you have taken a weapon with you, taken that mechanism with you on a drive to go, right? If you were just, no, but I was just going to talk and it got out of hand, well, why did you take a mechanism that you know is going to endanger things? Why did you then take it inside the building? The idea is, in their mind all along, to unalive themselves. And so you can't tell me that decision isn't already made. That is premeditation. And for how long? Okay, we're looking at a factor here of having a current restraining order. So what, for 3 or 4 days? Yeah, making choices when angry and upset. It is hard to control things, but you know, you just got to go, whoa, I got to get out of here. And people also need to respect, hey, if someone says, hey, I got to blow, I got to go, let them go, right? They got to just cool off. Yeah. But sometimes, you know, people just feel like they just can't see a way out, or the future that they see, they can't bear it. They can't bear it. And, you know, there is a thing around males with other males being, introduced into others' lives. And it's, yeah. Hey, Bob. Hi. Hello, little blind one. Come here again. Come here again. which is your best end? That's your best end. I don't want to hurt you. All right. Yeah, thanks to everyone. Thanks for modding, CJK. I'll see everybody later. I'll just make a video of this. I'll have to use a lot of just letters. Maybe hold up a sign. I don't know. Can you do that? Can you put the words on screen? Because obviously the first part of this got taken down by Granny YouTube, by the bots, or by, you know, I don't know, maybe a coloured haired wokey who will allow all sorts of nonsense. You know, the grooming. I'm talking about hair. I'm talking about brushing our hair, of course. You know, the grooming, the brushing of little children's hair, the brushing of kitties' hair, which is so, it's just the playground here, isn't it? Yes, but you know, we can't talk about other reasonable things. All right, cherry bye. I'm just waffling on. Thanks everybody, and yeah, I'll see you around the traps. I can't even see where to switch this off. What is, oh, it's up here. All right, ciao, bye.